Hey everybody, so big news has been released in this past month or so. Sony will not be attending E3 2019 this coming year. Sony, the creators of the PS4, PS3, PS2. This is the first time they will not be attending it in the last 24 years. So it is a very, very big news for people in the video game industry. Very controversial news. So people who don't know what E3 is, it happens every year in June. Huge conferences where Microsoft, Xbox, Sony with the PS4, Nintendo, which has now released the Switch and all, and like the Wii U, and other smaller companies like EA and whatnot. They all come together and each have their own little like showcase where they show off like new news about the company and mostly all these upcoming games, AAA games, smaller indie games. So it is a very, very big deal. People might not watch like PSX, like a lot of you don't know like all the smaller conferences, but a lot of people do know what E3 is. And Sony dropping out, I think, is a huge mistake for their company. And I'm going to explain why and how they can fix it. The first thing is they're leaving the third party and indie games, they're leaving them in the dust. For a company that started the growth of the indie game industry with games like Journey, they had that was in the PS3 era. With the PS4, they had Resogun. They advertised The Witness highly. I mean, even No Man's Sky, even though people didn't like that game very much. I would check it out though if anybody hasn't played in a couple of years. But they advertised the crap out of No Man's Sky, out of The Witness. They started the huge explosion of indie games really in the past 10 years, maybe probably 8 years. I think Journey came out in 2009, 2010. Don't quote me on that one. Just from, I picked this up from The Verge by Andrew Webster, just to put it in perspective. In 2011, Sony made PubFund, which invested $20 million in indie developers for over 3 years, a course of 3 years. $20 million. Sony really helped build the foundation of indie games, and I think them leaving E3 hurts a lot of their smaller developers. A lot of game companies depend on E3 to show what game. Not a lot of indie games get to reach it to E3 for Sony to be able to show them there. But for Sony to completely not be there, for them not even to have the opportunity, that's going to direct them to other platforms that will be there, which hurts Sony, hurts indie games, at least indie games on the PS4. It's a big deal, especially for a company that has supported indie games for so long. Like I said, Resogun. There's so many. I could list so many that I have played personally, and I know across the world people have played. There was sort of a trend. I don't think anybody expected us in 2017 E3. Sony didn't show any indie games on their main console. They released the VR, virtual reality, which they showed a couple there. So I guess they have been leaning off of it recently, especially because of this year. They had so many AAA games, Spider-Man, God of War, Red Dead, Detroit Become Human. They had a lot of games that carried the system this year. But another issue is that the Switch, I found this also from The Verge by same guy, Andrew Webster. This was released a couple months ago. But the Switch last year started to support indie games more and planned to release one indie game every week on the console. That was last year. I can say now that it has been very successful, and the Switch has, they didn't meet their goal, I think, this second year in sales, but that was a very lofty goal. They are selling very well, and I think they are, as part of because they are doing so well with indie games. my second point is that they're letting down their fan base. I mean, not to mention that E3 is something that I look forward to every year, and I know thousands and thousands of other people look to for every year. It's a chance. Not only are Sony fanboys watching, but Xbox fanboys, every person that plays any type of video game, even if it's PC, might be watching. It's a chance to grow. It's a chance to support your fans and to gain new fans. To show just how well the PS4 has been doing, because in this era, they announced obviously the Xbox One is going a different direction with Xbox Scorpio, Xbox X now, but the PS4, they've announced that there will be a PS5 in 2020, so the PS4 era is kind of dying, which many think that is the reason they are not attending E3. That is quote unquote what they are saying. They don't have enough games to show at E3, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. Just to show how well though the PS4 did, this was reported, I think, at the beginning of 2018, that IGN's Shabana Arif reported that PS4 has now sold over 80 million units. Microsoft has not released how many units they've sold, I think, since 2016. And in 2016, this is also still from IGN, they sold less than, I think it was like, they sold like 16 million units, and it was 20 million less than the PS4. That was 2 years ago. They have improved, they still have not caught up. That leads me to my third point. Microsoft, obviously a huge rival for Sony, their biggest rival. And they have been improving. Xbox One started off a little rough with sharing games and whatnot, but they have been improving, and sales have gone up. Even though we might not have exactly how many they have sold, it is shown that they have increased in sales. But they're giving Microsoft a huge helping hand by not participating at E3. Microsoft can now, there's been rumors that they might buy out where Sony normally has their conference at, and they will increase the size of their own conference. This is just in such a critical time where the PS5 is supposed to be coming out in the next year or so, 2020. Such a critical time to not go to E3 and let your opponents like the Nintendo and Xbox gain on so many levels, just to get closer in a market, in a gaming market that can change just like that. I mean, Xbox 360, definitely beat the PS3, and then even if I'm a Sony fanboy, love the PS3 to death. It is so easily a market, they can just switch sides just like that. So I think it is just very risky for Sony to be doing this, even if you don't have a lot of games to show. Show the games you do have and make it count. I mean, we have got the PS5 coming up, so you should have some, just a little things, just a little teasers here and there. My solution to all of this, I think it is too late for Sony to try to get back into E3. I think they kind of screwed themselves a little bit there, and I don't even know that they could get back in there if they wanted to. They probably could. But I don't think they should. I think, if anything, and what I'm expecting them to do, is for them to come out. They should, if anything, they should apologize or clarify exactly what they're doing. They might not be going to E3, but they should be doing something. They should have their own conference. They canceled PSX this year. Maybe it's not a PSX, but it's something small, something to remind their fan base that they're still here, they're still supporting, so they can bring their indie games. Maybe, I don't know what it is, maybe it's just a live stream. People don't actually go there, they just watch it. But they need to come out and they need to talk to their fans, they need to explain why they did this. And they should, at least around E3, maybe a little after, have their own small conference or live stream showing off some things. I think that would go a long way for a company who has treated their fans right for so long, except for in this last 6 months, it's been a little shaky. Yeah, man, I think that's the only thing they can do. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you all are now video game nerds and you care about this, and you will also back me up and get on Sony's ass about this.